Hi, welcome back to Trade and Wait. We're going to review some price action. The last time we reviewed anything, it was on the 16th, actually. So on the 16th, I'm going to try to keep I like to review the 6 thinking hats in general. Kind of like utilize this to make my playbooks. And also when I'm looking at the market, like what am I overlooking? And also addressing how do I feel about what I'm seeing and the practicality of it, right? Um, this week here, we had 12 p.m. news yesterday on a holiday. Technically, the markets was closed. I think they closed at 1 o'clock. So 12 o'clock with Trump's inauguration. And we don't have high impact news again until Thursday and Friday. All right. So anyway, last week I discussed how I was looking for a price to trade down into this bullish inefficiency here, but it didn't. And I discussed how you can see this as an order block, and price holds on this order block, and then it will target this swing high. And I didn't have conviction. How I didn't have conviction until price actually traded above. At the time, it was an inverted fair value gap, traded above it and held above it. One thing overlooked was that price rated. It wasn't technically overlooked because I was considering it. Hey, price ran Friday's low and then this thing, looking at the 4-hour chart. But on this time frame, this is significant, right? That price ran the previous week's low and then reclaimed it. Ran the low and reclaimed it, and then technically closed inside of the range. I did discuss also how this also could be seen as a breaker block. Breaker here, this down close candle. But also one thing that was to some degree perplexing is that why didn't price either run this swing low or trade into this imbalance last week? But I got my answer analyzing or looking for divergences on the ES as well as the YM. So the YM actually ran that low. And you can see here when I hover over this low how you have November 4th, Monday, November 4th, 2024, that swing low as a low that's being referenced on each asset class, right? So the YM ran the low. Everyone else refused, which gave us more confluence for price to go to the upside. Um, that is like an overlook. I wish that I would have just made me more confident instead of going, this is an order block, price reclaiming this inverted fair value gap at the time, or reclaiming its fair value gap, taking this into consideration that, hey, the YM already did it. The YM already ran the low, so we don't need to focus on the low, especially with the the ES and the NQ holding, especially the NQ here, holding above this balanced price range here. Or you don't want to use the balanced price range, you could just say the inverted fair value gap here and consequent encroachment of that. And technically this should be the target. But we'll see what happens. But all right, so that's the point made there. In general, I think I'm developing the tendency to skip the daily chart and just move straight down to the 4-hour. I don't know if that's good or bad, because if you're doing a weekly time frame and the weekly time frame is clear, then you can trade in the direction of the higher time frame bias, which is the weekly chart. That for me is going to the 4-hour chart and looking for opportunities. In this case here, the ES, the opportunity in the ES today, just utilizing the previous weeks. At the time that, all right, these lines here delineates the weekly open, right? Like a new week, start of a new week, right? So So you can see here that price, you also have the 1, 2, 3 drives pattern here. So we have a pullback. You have a pullback. You can use the previous week's high here. So you can call it the previous day's high, much more significant as the previous week's high for me. So I'm going to call it the previous week's high. And how about just to be thorough, we can also say previous day's high. Right? Previous day's high. That is Friday, right? Yep. All right, didn't count Sunday because whatever. Don't really. You can trade Sunday, but don't count it in terms of key levels, right? Unless it is like a huge run. But so after the previous week's high, then we have the previous 2 weeks high as a target. But however, I'm stopping here so we can highlight this fair value gap, right? So you had this violated fair value gap on the 4-hour time frame. Violated here. You have displacement here. You have a retracement into it. So it's a key level. So here again, you see price driving through it, like, man, key level, right? Total disrespect, right? So, all right, disrespected it, but it came back down and said, I'm sorry, whatever. You go hold me down or not, right? So it's resistance. What should have been support turned resistance. Supposed to have been resistance here, turned support again, push up. So we got a break in market structure here. Break in market structure, and we have a range as well, and the pullback into this imbalance. So what is this imbalance considered? That's internal range liquidity. So what should be on this time frame? What should be the next target? It should be external range liquidity in the form of this swing high. So this was a good trade for today. Last night, 1800 hours. These are 4-hour candles. You can catch that trade on the 15-minute. I know, because I was there. Stop. Anyway, so that's that swing high here, which is this is Monday's high. Monday's high. So we have a run on stops on this time frame. Let's just focus on the ES, but it's the same. The same on pretty much the same. All right, got a run on stops here on the YM. So you say this is the range, previous week's high to previous week's high. You can go all the way down there, but so you have an optimal trade entry long. If you wanted to pull it down here, that's okay. Right? So you have that. Just yesterday. Similar here, we have that. And we have one here as well. Right? Because why is this the case? Why can't we use these, right? Because it's the narrative is where's price coming from, where is it going, and how will it get there? So we already determined that on the 4-hour chart that we have this 4-hour fair value gap, and that this will be the next target. Internal range liquidity to external range liquidity, and this is a weekly imbalance. So these are other key levels. You can see what price is doing there as well, but that's something to do when and if you have like the time to do it. Like, okay, so right, the quarter, halfway, like, why not, right? If that's your system. All right, so that's the target. These are like key levels to consider. Okay, man, like, are you gonna let me get through to where I need to be? This is on a lower time frame though, but 4-hour time frame, it doesn't look like much of any resistance once this happened. You know, popping up there. And you can use that as an order block. This right here. All right, so that's that. So this would be your reason, right? Turn that off. Take that off. So yeah, we want to see what happens here. We do have a gap up here. Time imbalance here. See what happens. Because here, trading up here would be a model. Completion of a buy model. And you can have multiple buy and sell models within one price movement, if that makes sense. So similar principle here. We have it here on the NQ. Back on a 4-hour, right? So we have a pull back into this inefficiency. You're gonna target. Actually, you're targeting this high, right? Sure. Anyway, it failed here on the NQ. So we do have another divergence here on the lower time frame, where the ES NQ, the YM definitely like just slaughtered all these swing highs. Low resistance liquidity run here. And the NQ is the only one that's like taking its time. So we want to see if the NQ is going to catch up. NQ is going to catch up, or if it's going to hold everyone back. But again, the YM is the one that like ran the low, so it was the laggard. So these were the leaders. It's the laggard. The laggard is supposed to become the leader now, right? That's how it goes, and that's exactly what it did. But now this NQ raising questions. All right, man. I'm not 100% yet. Oh, can I do? All right, kind of. What time is this? I feel like, yeah, the first news is at like 12 o'clock. He's like, hey man, I don't know why I make that voice. Like, hey man, it's at 12 o'clock, right? Yesterday. So it like pulled up and then dropped. Not very much. Not, you see, it's like, oh, it's fresh news. People call it like the Trump poll or something like this, but it's still like, it's still respecting levels. So it's like, is it strange? Was it? Doesn't really matter, right? Because that's why, for me, like an A+ trade setup, you combine in like fundamental news catalysts along with price action, along with technical analysis or technical science, right? This was good. This is a failure swing higher. Is your short? Not just based off of that, but you know. But yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening. Sorry for clearing my throat and all that stuff there. I'm about to just cut this off and release that.